Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video a like up. Y&R Restless snoozed its way through most of February sweeps, but a bit of a rally appears possible at month's end. Here's a look at what's happened and what's coming up. Summer's doing her utmost to insist she's not jealous of Kyle and CLA. But absolutely no one is convinced, including fans. I, for one, can't blame her. She never stopped loving Kyle. They share a son, and it would be hard to see him with anyone else, let alone her cousin. Chance isn't a serious contender for her heart after the debacle of an investigation he conducted around her family's tragedy, and Victor, however, infuriating his meddling, maybe isn't wrong about Kyle being the worst pick for Claire's first love. If you don't believe it, ask Lola. In related news, there has been way too much airtime devoted to Jack and Diane discussing redecorating. The writers must do better with their B stories. Victor announcing to Michael that he was putting yet another plot against the Abbotts into motion felt, in a word, exhausting. You could all but hear the groans of Y&R and Restless fans far and wide. The problem isn't that we don't love their rivalry, it's that it's too much lather, rinse and repeat. There's never anything fresh to offer, and these schemes tend to fizzle out with little payoff. Viewers are tired. Bottom line, if you're getting this reaction to Victor versus Jack, something is very wrong. Also, let's make this stop and give Michael and Lauren a real story, please. The raw scenes between Damon and Amy on Friday's episode, as we finally found out why the man cut contact with his mother, were super soapy, while the explanation itself was borderline flimsy. It's hard to believe this didn't come up between them before now. The emotion of it all had me riveted. Kudos to Valerie Pedford and Jermaine Rivers for taking the material to another level. I felt totally invested, despite this involving two characters who have just been introduced or reintroduced in Amy's case, and that deeper connection should help drive the story's momentum going forward. How did Damon rise to such meteoric heights, as Victor put it so quickly? As Lily pointed out, we've been left with yet more questions than answers in that regard. My take, given that Damien is putting the moves on Lily and she's entertaining it, I'd say Nate's half-brother is more than likely the true love we were teased was coming for her. However, the road to true love can be rocky, so I'd expect Michael to come through with an unpalatable answer to the question of how Damien became a successful businessman overnight, right as Damon and Lily start to fall for each other. A hurdle, if you will. Also, might the writers be trolling by giving Damien the last nom cane? Per the preview, not only has Phyllis gone missing, but Sharon will do a disappearing act as well, given that the Ian and Jordan storyline concluded the way it did. It left the tension between the ladies, who had previously been civil, simmering and unresolved. At one point, we were expecting their issues to be ironed out within that plot, but it didn't happen. That's why I'm not surprised they've both gone missing. Whatever is going on, I'd be willing to bet they'll have to work together to get themselves out of it, as Lauren and Sheila once had to back in the day, thus forcing them to come to some sort of understanding. As for what's happened to them, well, it's possible that spoilers got them. The streets of Jono City were unusually quiet. A hush had settled over the town, as if it sensed something was amiss. Two of its most formidable women, Sharon Newman and Phyllis Summers, had vanished. No goodbyes, no warning, no trace. The sudden absence of these two firecrackers sent shockwaves through their friends, rivals, and loved ones. But where had they gone, and why? Nick Newman stood in the middle of crimson lights, the coffee shop. Sharon had poured her heart into staring at the empty space where she usually stood behind the counter. There was a strange stillness to the place without her. Meanwhile, at the Grand Phoenix, the hotel Phyllis had once called her domain, the energy was off too. Dulled, too lifeless. Her unmistakable presence was sorely missed. Both women had left behind their belongings, phones, and even unfinished plans, making it clear they hadn't simply taken a vacation. Victor Newman ever, the detective called in favors to have security footage checked. The last sighting of Sharon and Phyllis was at a small gas station outside town, their faces partially obscured by large sunglasses. But why were they together? They were known to clash, not collaborate. The tension between Sharon and Phyllis had been brewing for years. They had fought over men's businesses and even their own personal demons, yet their simultaneous disappearance suggested something bigger than their infamous feuds. Rosel's, Sharon's ex-husband, and a skilled detective couldn't shake the feeling that something sinister had taken place. He revisited old feuds, past threats, and any connection that could tie the two women together. Adam Newman, always suspect in such matters, claimed innocence, though he did admit that both women had approached him separately in the last few weeks, asking cryptic questions about a past event neither had previously shown interest in. As the days passed, the investigation took an even stranger turn. A letter seemingly written in Sharon's handwriting arrived at the Newman ranch. It rated Victor knew better than to heed such warnings. If Sharon had truly written it, she had been forced. Meanwhile, Phyllis's daughter, Summer, received a phone call in the dead of night. The voice on the other end was heavily distorted, but the message was clear: "Mom's alive, but don't come looking for her. Trust me." Hundreds of miles away, in a remote cabin surrounded by thick woods, Sharon and Phyllis sat across from each other, an unlikely partnership forged in urgency. Their usual venomous exchanges had been replaced by a silent understanding. "I can't believe we're here," Phyllis muttered, rubbing her temples. "I should be running my hotel, making deals, living my life, not hiding like some fugitive." Sharon took a sip of coffee from an old chip mug. "We had no choice. If we stayed, we'd be dead by now." A shadow passed across the window, and both went intense. Someone was watching them. It all started weeks earlier, when Sharon had discovered an old ledger buried in the basement of Crimson Lights. It detailed money transfers from an anonymous account to various influential figures in Genoa City. Some of the names were shocking. At the same time, Phyllis had uncovered a separate but equally damning document while trying to dig up dirt on a business rival. When she showed it to Sharon, their findings overlapped. Someone powerful was manipulating Genoa City from the shadows, and they had accidentally stumbled into the heart of it. Then the threats began. A car following Sharon late at night, a message scrolled in lipstick on Phyllis's mirror: "Stay out of it." Rather than retreat, they had confronted the danger head-on, and it had nearly cost them their lives. "We're running out of time," Sharon whispered. "They're not going to stop. Then we take the fight to them," Phyllis said, determination blazing in her eyes. "We expose them before they can silence us." A noise outside made them freeze. The cabin door creaked slightly, as if someone had pressed against it. Phyllis grabbed the fire poker, while Sharon reached for the only weapon she had, a small knife she had found in the kitchen drawer. The door burst open, and a figure stepped inside. Nick, his face was a mixture of relief and fury. "What the hell are you two doing?" Before they could answer, another figure stepped into the doorway: Jeremy Stark, the man who had terrorized Diane Jenkins, presumed dead after his last encounter with her, now very much alive. Well, Jeremy drawled, "Ladies, I was hoping you'd be smart enough to stay gone, but now you fork my hand." Sharon and Phyllis exchanged a look. They had come too far to back down now. The battle for the truth was only beginning.